Danish band VOLA burst onto the scene in 2015 with their debut LP In Mazes. Since then, they have steadily built a worldwide following that has seen them amass enough attention that they've been able to tour the US with 2 headlining tours over the last few years. On the strength of their most successful release to date, 2019's Witness, VOLA trekked across the US twice in support of that record. Now, with the release of their latest album, Friend of a Phantom, in fall of 2024, another US tour is in full swing that will see these prog metalers hit most of the major spots by the first week of April. If you get a chance to see them on tour, I highly recommend it. Largely viewed as a progressive rock/metal band, VOLA offers something different than your run-of-the-mill prog band in 2025, if there is such a thing. VOLA has mastered the art of writing melodic music with a technical and heavy edge to it. Almost every song has a heaviness to it, either it be musically or lyrically, without beating you over the head with it. And the same can be said about their technicality. Combining genty progressive metal with electronic music and very melodic and catchy phrases is what VOLA is in a nutshell.
I wanna lay my head down now. I wanna turn the tide somehow.
VOLA may very well be the best starting point for anyone who may want to dive into these often ostracizing subgenres because they deliver it in such an accessible way. The credit for this and the task of making it happen falls to head songwriter, singer, guitarist, and producer Asger Mygind, who was so awesome and gracious enough to join me for this very special episode of Fandom Files. I got Asger Mygind with me from the band VOLA, and we're going to talk about all of his babies. All his albums, all his songs, the things that he has put out there. Now, before we get into it, you produce all your albums, right? Like I see that you're labeled as producer of all your albums. How did that? Most artists don't do that. Like, so how did you manage that? How did that happen for you?
I think it's like mainly Steven Wilson's fault. Like because I'm
God, we're all blaming Steven Wilson for something. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I was just amazed at the way he produced Porcupine Tree albums, just doing and also mixing them, just doing everything by himself. It made me interested in trying to do the same, and then also just not having very many like a big budget for anything. It also felt like a good path to go down to try to do it myself. And like it has evolved, because in the beginning I both produced and mixed, and now I feel like it takes so long time to mix an album, and there are so many people out there who are better than me at doing this. So I'd much rather just pass the torch to someone else.
So you don't mix everything, but you produce everything.
Yeah, I just love having everything on my computer, like making sure that all the layers sound good, that the production is interesting for the ear. So it's just like having this overview, which gives me the opportunity to really hear if things are sounding like in a way that I think elevates the songs the way they should be elevated.
Yeah. Well, you write every song, right? Yeah. Like, so you write all the music, right?
Well, it is a collective process. We have the server where we all upload ideas to, and then we decide on what ideas we want to continue with. And yeah, I write a lot of the materials, definitely. But the other guys write as well. It's something that works well for us.
So now you've been pretty much a consistent lineup other than drummer. It's like the only place where you've had somewhat of a change from each album until now. You've had the same drummer for 2 albums, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the third one with Adam Jansi.
Okay, yeah. So you settle. So you've settled on a pretty consistent. So I guess the writing makes sense then. Like you'd all kind of collaborate. So that's cool. All right. Well, excellent. Well, so then let's get into it then. So let's do it. I'm ranking VOLA's studio albums with the great Asger Mygind right here on this very special edition of Fandom Files. Let's go. Hi there, Chris, Redbeard Videos, and thank you for joining us here for this very special edition of Fandom Files. I'm so excited about this one. Fandom Files is where I go through my fandom of a band by ranking their studio albums from my least favorite to my very favorite. But first things first, let me just take a moment out here to please remind you to like and subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel and please like the video. It pushes us into the algorithm and it gets us going forward motion. I'm on the forward motion thing. It's on its way. We're picking up subscribers here and there, but I really want to set a goal. I just want to set a goal to get to, I don't know, let's say 10,000. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers by this time next year. So like a full year. Halloween 2025. I'm not asking for much. It's 10,000 people. So share this with your friends, will you? All right, back to the album. This is a very special episode, as I said before, because I will be joined by the man, the myth, the soon-to-be legend, Mr. Asger Mygind, the brain, face, voice, and the whole nine of VOLA. Sure, they're a complete band. I'm not trying to discount the rest of the band. They're a phenomenal band. But Asger Mygind is the guy where the buck stops with him, right? Like, that's where it goes. So if I'm going to talk to someone from the band about the band and all of their albums, you got to go to the head, right? And that would be Mr. Asger Mygind. Now, he's going to go through the albums with me. He did not engage in a ranking, so to speak. So I'm going to rank them myself and put them in the order that I see fit. And then I will give my take and then I will have his take, right? And that's how we're going to do this. This interview was recorded back in September of last year when Asger joined me to promote their newest album, Friend of a Phantom. You can catch that interview on the page Redbeard Videos right now. It's there. Or don't go right now. Watch this first and then go watch that because it's a really good spot. He's a very humble, interesting dude to talk to. And we get into more depth of just his writing process and stuff in general, but you're going to hear a lot of that here too as well. Let's get to our number 4 album because I don't have an Asger take about this album. You're going to have to go and watch the full interview back from September if you want to hear about our number 4 album. And our number 4 album is their newest release, Friend of a Phantom. Now, why is this my least favorite album? What's interesting about this is I don't even know if it's my least favorite album. I think it just doesn't have the benefit of time yet. I haven't listened to it 10 billion times like I've listened to every other album in this catalog, as VOLA is quickly becoming one of my very favorite bands. But I will say, all credit to this album, it was hard to put it here. I do like it almost as much as I like every other album. I had to nitpick it a little bit. And to me, my issue and why it's the least favorite album in the catalog is simply because there's really nothing new to this record. The only song that really presented anything that was even remotely different in the sound of VOLA would be Hollow Kid, which has a little bit more of a groove than I'm used to, and it's very heavy, which is not unusual for VOLA, but it's heavy in a different way. It's like a slow brooding heavy as opposed to the genty type of heavy. That's the only difference, and it's the best song on the album in my opinion. It's my favorite song on the record. So that and the last song, which is a wonderful ballad, Trey, which is an incredible ballad, just a wonderful song, one of the most beautiful songs I've heard in quite some time, and that's what VOLA does. And you'll find that as a theme throughout this, is that to me, just like Dream Theater, just like all bands, honestly, just like Rush, same thing, like technicality, heaviness, those are all great qualities. Those are all things that I love in bands or in music. But ultimately, if you can't knock me out with some sort of killer melody, I'm going to lose interest. And that's just me. Like, I'll be enthralled by your technicality or your heaviness for a few minutes, like a song or two. And then after that, if I'm not getting earwormy type of melodies, you're going to lose me at a point. And it's weird to think that, because I like some bands like Arsonist Gets All the Girls, or well, Dillinger Escape Plan actually brings some good melodies, but like Arsonist Gets All the Girls is a perfect example of a band that is completely more or less devoid of melody. Meshuggah also, completely devoid of melody. And what makes those bands so special is that, in my opinion, their rhythms and their breakdowns are earwormy. And it acts as the melody. So if you're not going to bring solid melodies, you better bring some really hooky grooves or really hooky breakdowns. Otherwise, you're going to lose me. Now, I know I'm not the only person you're trying to appeal to, but I'm sure many people think like me. So... But Friend of a Phantom overall is a great record, highly recommended, despite the fact that it's last on this list when you're only dealing with 4 studio albums. And in my opinion, VOLA has yet to write a bad song. I'm almost of the mind that their catalog is as close to perfect as you can be without being perfect. I could probably nitpick something to death on this album and be like, yeah, this song, the one song on this album that I'm not fully in love with, not that I'm not in love with it, I actually liked it a lot when it first came out, but I got bored of it, which was Cannibal, the opening track. Even despite the fact that they have a guest vocalist, which adds a lot of excitement, and that's great, it sounds... I don't want to say run-of-the-mill because it's still a good song. I can't say it's a bad song. But if I wanted to nitpick a song on this record, that would be the one. Because it just sounds like, I don't know, every other band that puts something out of that style. And that's not what VOLA does. VOLA sticks out like a sore thumb because they're just very unique in what they do. And that song, for whatever reason, it doesn't hit. It doesn't have the staying power as all the other songs on this album have. And if you want to hear Asger's take one more time, just go check out the interview from September. It's on my page right now. So after you're done watching this, go check that out. So I'm going to quote Asger before I let Asger talk about In Mazes. I got this from an article. I forgot what article I get it from. But he says, the album tries to capture this feeling of being trapped in mental mazes and not being able to fully experience happiness, basically. How this struggle is visualized in your own mind, and how do your surroundings react to the behavior caused by it. And this is an incredibly accurate statement. This album has a lot of twists and turns. This album is very downtrodden, and it's heavy. And I remember this is their first album. This was their debut record, In Mazes. And I remember when I first heard this album, not being really sure what to make of it. I was like, they're progressive, okay. They're djenty, but I wouldn't put them on like a Meshuggah level, even though almost every song has a djenty moment. Like the bass tone in general is djenty as fuck. So you wouldn't get an argument from people, I don't think, if you said that VOLA was a djent band. But they do so much else. They do so much more outside of the regular djent label that I would be hard pressed to label them a straight djent band. With that being said, though, if there was a gent album in this catalog that you would put up with like a Meshuggah and a Periphery and like a Monuments or whatever, this would be the album. In Mazes is probably the most gent album out of the catalog.
I've been straying from the course, hoping to make a change.
But don't take it from me. Let's hear what Asger has to say about it. So this is your first album. You guys formed as a band in what, 2008 it says, or 2007, maybe even earlier than that?
I think we usually say 2006.
2006. Okay. So
Yeah.
it took like 9 years before your very first actual album. So
Yeah.
what was that like in a nutshell? Like how did it take so long? Like
Yeah, I think we needed some years to just experiment and to make EPs while we sort of found our voice. So in the beginning, it sounded a lot different. I would say I wasn't using seven-string guitars, for example.
hmm.
So I was just playing like in drop D tuning, which was very much inspired by Creed, actually.
Interesting.
Um, like Mark Tremonti was like a big inspiration for me guitar wise in the
Huh.
beginning.
That's a sound
Um,
that doesn't come through. That's interesting.
yeah. Yeah, we were just searching a lot for something that felt like home, really. And that I think the moment that really happened was in 2011 when we made the EP called Monsters.
Is this sustainable? I don't see the colorful.
Which is the one we use seven-string guitars on for the first time. So it finally allowed for the Meshuggah influence to fully show itself.
Yeah.
Um, and I think In Mazes is sort of a more nuanced, more detailed sort of continuation of the Monsters EP. That's how I hear it.
She pays attention to the word and the tiny sound she heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so would you say that a lot of those Creed influenced songs turned into what In Mazes became? Like, did you rework a lot of the songs, or did you just kind of find this new sound and go, now we're writing whole new stuff. That's it.
Yeah, that was just whole new stuff. And the Creed influence was really in the very beginning. That was before sort of Sweden took over with all the bands there, like Opeth, Soilwork, In Flames, all those influences.
Sweden did take over. That's a true story. Sweden and Norway, they just have a way of doing that, I guess, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I think at some point in my life, I only listening to Swedish music. That's how good they are at doing that.
I've often said Europe is way cooler than America when it comes down to it. So when it comes to music, it's like you all have a more open mind there. Like it's just, when a band like Gojira can be like at the Olympics, like that would never happen here. Like that would never happen here in America. Our sensibilities,
True. Yeah.
we can't handle it.
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
Oh, it was huge. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Love it. First they're playing this traditional song, then they rip out one of their heavier ones, and I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome when that happens. Yeah. I've always wanted to visit the Nordic block just because of your music. It's cold as hell, but God, you guys churn out great music. So the notable songs for me on In Mazes, I mean, I love every song, but like I love how right off the bat, like you're not afraid to just like Owl starts off so like nice, and then it just kicks the crap out of you, and then it goes back to like this nice thing, and I'm like, so and then Your Mind is a Helpless Dreamer right after that, just and then but like Emily is like, so was there a conscious effort to like do this push pull thing with the heaviness versus the melodic, or overlaying the real heavy stuff with this, like like Your Mind is a Helpless Dreamer with that little like keyboard part and even your vocal melodies, the whole thing, like
Yeah.
it seems obvious to me that at the beginning you were like, we're not going to be the screamer version of this, we're going to go full melodic.
Yeah.
But so take me through that. Like, what was the first song to come out to sound like to meld these two things? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think actually the first song, "The Same War," was one of the first tracks written.
Mm.
So that sort of set the tone for how the album would be.
There's a break giving up on symmetry. There's a drug giving birth to a harmony. There's a convenient choice of minority.
So basically, we were just really sort of harvesting our Meshuggah influences at that point, full on, and mixing them with like big choruses. Like we love, like a chorus cannot get big enough for us, and yeah, that's something Soilwork has inspired. For example, I would say,
Yeah.
I love their choruses.
Well, who influenced that? I'm sorry, I missed what you said there.
Yeah, Soilwork.
Oh, Soilwork. Hell yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So yeah, to me, there's a lot of Soilwork and Meshuggah on that album. And then, you know, I love Opeth too. Like the way they can go from a mellow, clean guitar part to a death metal part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those contrasts has just been a huge inspiration. So they showed that it's okay to like to shock the listener a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
going from 0 to 100. And yeah, I think that's there in all our albums, like that. Those jumps in between in dynamics.
Absolutely. No, and I
Yeah.
agree. And the fact that you guys are able to do it without being ostracizing or off-putting at all, and maintain, you know, it doesn't feel fake. It never feels fake. It never feels like you're forcing the heaviness. It but it does just come out of nowhere. Like it does just all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is really melodic, and bam, like you're like, what happened here? Where am I? So
I saw bodies moving. I will move if my
the one long song in your entire catalog is In Mazes. It's on here. And was that like a conscious decision to kind of hone your inner Meshuggah and go like, we're gonna bludgeon these people for 7 minutes? Or
Yeah, I think we pretty early on decided that could be the final song on the album. And I think for a final song on an album, you can often push it a bit more because nothing has to come after it.
right.
So you can just really go all in on whatever mood you want to indulge in, and I think that's why it turned out so long, because we just really wanted to make a grand finale.
Wanted to stretch your legs a little bit, yeah. Now,
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is there any kind of lyrical theme? Like, I don't know, is In Mazes a word? Like, is it its own word? I don't even know. I'm pretty good with vocabulary usually, but is In Mazes like a word, or is it supposed to be two words? And you were just being
Yeah,
coy.
Yeah, it's just made up.
It's made,
So-
it's just made up. I just made it up. Hey, what's more progressive than making up language? I love it.
Exactly. So yeah, it's just In Mazes, like those two words.
And then
put together.
is there a lyrical theme to that, or was it just like,
Yeah, it's very much about like being caught up in negative thought patterns that you can't get out of, sort of translated to being in a maze,
Nice.
that you can't get out of. Yeah.
sure?
tell me now everything, 'cause I want everything. This is not a remedy. This is not a part of my world.
Is there like a song or a grouping of songs or one or two songs that you particularly love more than the others, or like that you, or let's say it differently, that you love playing live, that you're like, oh, like either it's the crowd reaction or it's just the way you play guitar or the way you sing or whatever? Like, what are the songs from In Mazes that like get you jazzed?
Well, I have to mention Straight the Skies, which has been like a staple in our set for many years.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
it just really gets the crowd going. It's fun to play. Yeah, it just feels very fulfilling in every way on stage to play that song.
Any crazy
Um,
stories from the road or anything, or recording in mazes, anything like that? Does Vola do anything, you know?
yeah, I was living at a dorm when we recorded that, and I didn't have a vocal booth, so I had to sort of we had the mattresses you could borrow. So I think I just borrowed all the mattresses uh, from that room and made this tent in my dorm room where I could record vocals
And that's how you
in.
recorded vocals for in mazes,
Yeah.
in a dorm room or surrounded by mattresses.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So
See, that's a story.
very
That's
primitive.
that's a story, man. I love it. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for here on Fandom File. That's a great story. This album falls to number 3 simply because it does have elements of immaturity, if that makes sense, especially when you start getting further into the catalog. You can see where they were going, and this is kind of like the zygote version of where they were going. It's a building block, and it sounds like that sometimes, to me anyway. Doesn't make me love it any less. There is not one bad song on this record, period. So check out In Mazes. Highly recommended for sure. Applause of a Distant Crowd and our number 1 album fought day and night in my brain until the recording of this video for the number 1 spot, because this album is so perfect and so interesting in context of this catalog. Because if In Mazes is a building block, so is Applause of a Distant Crowd. It is like the polar opposite of what In Mazes was, as downtrodden and low. I don't want to say low energy, because there is some high energy songs there, but like low mood In Mazes is. Applause of a Distant Crowd is the opposite. Even their heavy songs like Smart Friend has a lighter feel to it, as heavy as it is, and it might be one of the heaviest songs in the entire catalog.
Sure, I'm excited to be happily invited, though our has been on like a mole. This is not the lie I had expected to apply when I was striking my deformity down the hole.
And with that, it just sounds lighter. It has a lighter feel, even down to the cover, the artwork. You know, it looks like a woman swimming or diving into a pool or something. It's got a very summery, light air to it. It's weird. It's a very weird thing. Songs like Ghost. Ghost is like almost like a downright, if there's such a thing as a pop metal song these days, this might be one of them. It's not really metal. It's just loud. It's got a lot of like hard guitars, but which would push it into a metal category. But it's mostly very melodic, keyboard heavy. Just a light song. It's just a light song sonically. Lyrically, not so much, but sonically, very light.
Running wild until he had to stop.
And this album kind of plays that way as a whole. It's not nearly as downtrodden as In Mazes. And when you see where we're going in the catalog, you'll see why it's also, in my eyes, considered a building block, and why ultimately it fell to number 2.
Are you still here?
Disconfrontation is the perfect one. Alien T-Bags, not in this victory run.
I can say, and I'll say it to you, just as shining your apple a little bit, but I will also say it to the audience that this band's catalog is nearly perfect. There are very few songs from each album that I dislike. I don't come across very, like on this album, I'm looking at the list here, and I don't think there's a song on this album that I dislike. So I'm gonna have a hard time ranking these albums. I'll tell you right off the bat. So the next one is Applause
Yeah.
Applause of a Distant Crowd, which I know quite a few people they consider this their favorite Vola album. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not going to let that out at this moment, but
Oh,
I read a review and I agree with what it says. Basically, this album was an exaggerated version of In Mazes. It was almost like you took everything from the most mellow and poppy to the most heavy and heavy and just turned it up to 11 on this album. Was that a conscious decision, or again, did it just happen that way?
that's interesting. Well, I have another perspective on it, I think, but
Okay.
I totally get
Well, well,
why
that's
you
why
can
we
have
talk to the that's why we talk
that
to the
other view on
artist.
it. I think to me it felt very much like a reaction to In Mazes. Like In Mazes came out when the gent wave was really flying high in the world, and everyone was trying to make these very mechanical sounding genty albums with very pristine productions,
Hmm.
and we were trying the same. Um, so for In Mazes, we just tried to make everything sound as precise as possible, and I think maybe a bit of liveliness got lost in that process, and that's what we tried to get to with Applause, to
Hmm.
make it sound more like a band playing and to make the production a bit more organic and sort of less perfect sounding. Not that In Mazes is perfect, but you know what I mean.
No,
um,
I totally hear that. I can totally hear that. Like it definitely sounds more organic without question. Like that's the perfect word. I remember hearing the first song I believe released from this album was Smart Friend, correct? Was Smart Friend the first
yeah, I
single?
think so.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was. And
probably. Yeah,
I remember hearing it and I'm like, I remember thinking it was way heavier, even though that's
yeah,
hard to believe with songs like My Mind is Your Mind is a Helpless
yeah,
Stream,
yeah,
but it just sounds heavier in a more natural way. Like it just and it definitely, but I also do hear more of the mechanical stuff too at the same time. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, continue.
Yeah. It was born from an urge to just go in another direction. Yeah, see where that would take us, and to yeah, also maybe have a like a broader range of moods, I would say. Um, like In Mrs. has Emily as a soft song, but other than that, it's like pretty energetic, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And to me, Applause is more all over the place in terms of moods and aggression. So it feels like a more diverse album to me.
I wanna lay my head down. I wanna turn the tide somehow.
Well, yeah, you guys saw like Ruby Pool might be one of the most like mellow tunes there is in existence, not even just in Volas, but
Yeah,
in existence. It's so chill and and I think it's wonderful that like you play it live. Like the two times I
yeah,
saw you, you play it live. It's wonderful. And then you have like super pop, like almost pop rock songs like Ghosts, which is like,
yeah.
so and those are two of my favorite songs, in addition to like Smart Friend and what was the other one that kills me every time I hear it? Oh, Alien Shivers is another one that's like, Whaler is very plotting, heavy. Yeah, so you're right. It's definitely, and I think that's what this reviewer was saying is that it kind of took the elements of In Mazes and
Yeah,
just pushed them even further out. And I agree with that. And you're kind of saying that was kind of the plan.
yeah, it was. It was.
Lost in starlight in your ear. I'm the final one to interfere.
What songs from that album like get you just like hopped up, ready to go,
Yeah.
or vice
Well,
versa, or chill,
yeah,
whatever?
yeah, yeah. We talked about Smart Friend, for example. That's also been a song we've played for many shows. Yeah, it's just so much energy and such a high tempo, and it allows me to move on stage in a way that I can't to the other songs because it's so fast paced. So that I really enjoy that one, and also Ruby Pool. We play that a lot because it's that more introvert introverted moment, and it's nice to sort of walk around on stage playing that one, and like when I'm not singing and trying to get eye contact with people in the audience. I get that's a cool moment.
Yeah, no, and
Um,
I will say that live, like, first off, anybody out there, if you get a chance to see Vola live, you have to. I mean, they're tight. They even bring a decent like stage show, like light show for a band that's really just getting started on that level. But the music is so good, and the audience, like your fans, especially the ones here in America they're the only ones I can speak of, very respectful and like cool, and like, they mosh when it's appropriate, and then but like during Ruby Pool, like everybody just, you feel like this togetherness, like it's like, oh, we're all just chilling with
yeah,
Asger, and
yeah.
Asger's singing to us. It's nice. It's great. Any interesting little tidbits from Applause of a Distant Crowd, similar to the
Hmm.
mattress TP that you sang in?
That's a good question.
If you don't have one, it's
Well,
okay. It's just something,
yeah, I don't really have anything, but yeah, that was Adam's first album with us. Adam, our drummer.
yeah.
So he was sort of tossed into all of this with this album. But really like put his fingerprint on it, I would say, with his way of creating rhythms.
He's a tremendous
Uh,
drummer. He really is. Like watching him play is something. It's something to watch. I mean,
yeah,
I've never seen any of your other drummers. He's the only one I've ever seen. But that guy's top notch in my book, anyway. I mean, what
I
do I
agree.
know? But
We're lucky.
yes, he's very, very good. So, at what point, I remember here in America, it was during this album, during Applause, where I noticed more people noticing who you guys were. Was that the same with you? Did you feel during Applause of a Distant Crowd that this was actually going to be going somewhere other than, oh, we'll be this middling band or whatever? Like, is that when you started to notice that maybe we can go to America, maybe we can do other stuff, maybe we can make something of this?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Like it felt at that point that the wave of gent bands that I talked about had sort of died down a bit. Like we were still full of energy and ready to continue. So it felt nice to have gotten that push from the gent scene, but it also felt like we could stand on our own legs at that point. But yeah, I was still just dreaming of like growing as a band at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It's still am. So
Of course, of course.
it's hard to say when those pivotal moments really were. Maybe it's easier to see on the outside as a
Well,
listener.
that was the first time that I like, because so I used to host a show called Progtology 101, which was about progressive
Yeah,
music, and there's still a channel on YouTube, and I'm going to be re-upping that again. But like, as a fan of progressive music, the majority of the things that I love come from Europe. So whenever one
yeah,
of you bands start making noise here in America, where American fans are going, dude, I know Vola, dude, I know Vola, like, and I go, really? And like, it was during that time where I was at concerts, like being like just talking to random metal fans. I could be at any show, and they'd be like, oh, who are you into? Who are you into? And I'd be like, oh yeah, Vola, whatever. Or if I'm hosting the show, I would get a message and be like, oh, dude, these guys are awesome. Like I heard these guys the other day. But like I've been playing like Port Noir or Wheel or Fiends or like all these other bands that are from like Europe that nobody knows about, and they go, "Oh, I'm gonna check them out." But you guys were like all of a sudden on the radar, and it was during the end of this
that's cool.
album cycle. So that's when I noticed it for sure. Was during the
Yeah,
end of Applause, for sure.
Still you thought the love. Still you wish to be clear.
Another quote from a different article where during the time where this album was coming out, Asger was quoted as saying, I was in a different place mentally while writing the lyrics for In Mazes. I'm definitely in a happier place now. And to me, it shows on this record, both sonically and lyrically, even though some of the lyrics are still, Vola's not exactly a happy band. So you're not going to get a lot of like positivity party lyrics out here. But they're not negative either. They're just telling introspective type of stories. That's all. All right, so before we head on to the number one album on this in this catalog, I just want to throw an honorable mention out there. Seeing as VOLA is still a fairly new band, like just about a decade old, like right now, and they only have 4 studio albums to their credit at this moment, there's not really, they don't have a lot of things to be honorably mentioning, right? But they do have one live album, and it's really fantastic. It's called Live from the Pool. I have the vinyl. It's really awesome. It's a blue vinyl, and this was a concert that they did. I think they did it during COVID. I'm not 100% sure. Let me see here real quick. So Live from the Pool is super interesting. It was recorded on September 11th of all times, 2021 in Denmark, and it was used to promote the album Witness. And they performed a live streamed concert from an empty, abandoned swimming pool in an abandoned Otterod military camp in North Zealand near Copenhagen in Denmark. And the concert video is incredible. The live performance is great. And this was like during that time period when bands weren't able to tour still because of COVID. So a lot of bands, Periphery, Tesseract, Devin Townsend did a lot of this, did live streams of concerts. And this was one of the coolest ones I saw. They put their light show in this pool, and it's super cool. It's just, I highly suggest and recommend going to check it out if you want to see VOLA. It's got all their great songs. I mean, every song is great, but this has like the creme de la creme songs. It's about an hour and a half, I think. It's a good concert, and it's a really good way to introduce yourself to VOLA, in my honest opinion. I've seen this band live twice, and they're so good live that this documentation of this concert is well worth your time, and it's a good introduction to the band. I would highly, highly recommend go seeing it. And then finally, our number one album is Witness. And why is Witness the number one album? Witness is the number one album because I feel that this was like, if we were talking about Pokemon, this would be its final form. Okay, this is what Witness is. If In Mazes and Applause of a Distant Crowd were building blocks, they were building to this. Witness is a combination of everything that happened before it. It is the perfect melding of all the things that we love about VOLA from the first 2 albums, in my opinion.
You're running low on straight lines. You're running low on good times.
Ultimately, the reason why Friend of a Phantom isn't higher because it continues this trend. So when I say there's nothing new out of VOLA, that's what I mean. Friend of a Phantom could be a sister or a cousin album to Witness. And Witness just has banger after banger after banger. And they even went and progressed themselves a little bit further, not by only combining these two, the downtroddenness of In Mazes and the light airiness of Applause of a Distant Crowd. They also threw some hip hop in there with the song These Black Claws, and they did it effectively by having a rapper by the name of Shaman come and do a verse.
Of these black
I try to smile when I get bad news. Figure if there's any good left, I'll get that too. Blood is red, but the veins are blue.
And it just fit perfectly. They picked the perfect person. Like they could have easily have gone like traditional hip hop or traditional like rapper and have it be some kind of Limp Bizkit type of thing, but they didn't do that. They stayed true to themselves within their song structure, and they just kind of threw this thing into it, this new element, and it worked perfectly. And it really, that song is what launched them into a different realm, so they could go and tour America and headline a tour, albeit small clubs, but they were here. They made it here. And if you know anything about bands trying to get here from Sweden, Norway, France, anywhere in Europe, anywhere in Asia, anywhere outside the United States, if you crack the United States nut enough to even do not just one, but two headlining tours, you've reached some success. So Witness is, to me, without question, their best album. I know at least one person who disagrees with me. I don't, but it's not Asger Mygind. He didn't rank his albums, but let's hear what Asger wants to say about Witness.
I could leave this house, but I won't. There's an echo that seems to live on.
Witness.
Yep.
Where all of a
Yes.
sudden, everybody wants VOLA. That's kind of how it went here in America. It was like all of a sudden everybody knows VOLA.
That's cool.
And what do you think was the difference between the first two albums and Witness that kind of grabbed more attention? Like, do you think it was as simple as we threw some hip hop on These Black Claws, or do you think that there was something else that grabbed the attention of people?
Well,
And
I
don't mean that as an insult. It's more of an insult towards American culture than
I
it is
definitely
towards you,
think
I
it-
promise.
yeah. I think it was like our best sounding album up until that point. I really think Jacob Hansen did a good job mixing and mastering it, just creating this big sound that's detailed, and it's heavy, but it's also pretty easy to listen to. So I think for many people, it like the listening experience might have gotten easier, and I also just think the material, some of the best we have written, and Jacob Hansen really made it come to life.
We collapsed, we stepped in all my traps and forgot the aim. How do I get back to
I think I talked about it earlier, like how we wrote into his sound.
Yeah.
So for Applause, for example, we were like aiming at this more organic, lively vibe. For this album, it was just all about making it big and hi-fi sounding. Yeah, just not holding back in terms of like how huge the vibe could be. And I think that might have been like a key element in making it more, our music more accessible to
Sure.
to a bigger audience.
Sure. And now I guess my next question just popped in my brain here, because now we've talked about 3 albums and then the 4th one that's coming, and each time it sounds like the vibe changed, but less from a writing perspective and more from a production perspective. So is it safe to say,
Yeah.
because I've never
Yeah.
heard this done before from you guys, but is it safe to say that if you played like Straight Lines and Stray the Skies acoustically, they would more or less sound like the same type of vibe, but your production for each album has been different, and that's
Yeah.
where the change comes in?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I think it really shapes a song, like how it sounds coming out of the speakers.
Sure. I think maybe a VOLA acoustic performance needs to be needs to be unfurled somewhere. I think that might be cool to hear all these
Yeah.
songs like without all the production, because I think they're at their heart. I think they're all great songs, and especially this album, Witness. I don't know if I'm ready to proclaim it as my favorite album, but like I love the whole feel of this record, and like the lyrics are dark and but they're also, like, I don't know. I feel like 24 Light Years like speaks to me on so many levels, from both a introspective but to a positive thing as well. Was there like a lyrical aim on this album, or was this more kind of random thoughts?
Well, I often come back to just describing different relationships that that seem to be dysfunctional. Um, like it seems like the close connections we have with the people around us are like the most valuable thing we have in life. And that means that we have a lot to lose if it doesn't work out. And I think that like trying to describe that tension is just very inspiring and something I keep coming back to. And that has a lot of space on that album.
So at this point, is this when you felt like, yeah, this is going somewhere now? Like, was it when this album released and you got on tour and whatever? Was it like, yeah, we're like here now, like we've arrived in this scene?
Yeah, it felt like a big step for us. Playing bigger venues in Denmark, bigger venues in Europe, coming to the US, yeah, having these black claws on the radio over in the US.
Yeah.
So definitely some like amazing progressions, I would say, for us.
And how would you compare, or maybe not compare, but like, is there a difference between American audiences and European audiences with their response to your music, or is it just if it's good,
I
it's
think it's
good?
very yeah, if it's good, it's good. I would say it's very similar. Maybe these black claws does have a little bit of an American vibe to it. I guess that might be Shaman's fault, but
Yes, yes.
maybe it.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
So
these
maybe
Black Claws
that
definitely is the
helped
most American
push the
sounding
track a
song you have.
little.
Yeah, no, these Black Claws is definitely the most American sounding track you have,
Yeah,
without
yeah,
question. I've often said, and
yeah,
I don't mean this
yeah.
like as an insult, but I've often said that, Vola is like, um, they would be like what Periphery would be if they were like European, like, like a little more subdued, but just as heavy. And
That's a good one.
just more chill in general, but just as heavy, like, because that's kind of what you are. Like, it's like, and
Yeah,
I would never compare you to Periphery, but in terms of like, I don't know, stylistically, like you fall in this, I could see you touring with Periphery. I think that would be an incredible show. Like, that would be something I'd love
yeah,
to see. I think we'd all love
yeah.
to see it. So, what songs from Witness get you like? What are the songs you love to play live from this album?
Well, Head Mounted Sideways is definitely one of them. That just feels like a journey. Um, so like while we play it, I often think a bit ahead in the song to know what's coming up, what I have to prepare for. And to me, that song just is just filled with cool moments that I can and like look forward to.
Completely
Um,
agree.
of course, I also have to I have to stay in the moment also to like to try to get an emotional response to the song. But yeah, the brain is sort of divided into two on stage, at least mine. Um, so that's one of my favorite live songs, definitely. And 24 Light Years is also special. It seems in the quiet chorus towards the end, like the audience always sing along.
I remember
I
that.
don't think we've had a show where the audience didn't sing at that point, and that yeah, that always gives me chills.
That's so cool.
So
Yeah, that's got to
yeah,
be a moment for any artist. That's got to be an awesome moment for any artist to like hear a whole group of people just sing back something to you that you wrote. Like, that's cool. Like, that's just incredibly cool.
yeah,
25-foot prints obtained. I could leave this.
yeah.
Are there any that out of these three albums, are there any songs that you just are either tired of playing or that you're just like, Oh, it's so hard to sing, or it's so like, are there any songs that you've written or that you've performed that you're just like, let's not do, or are there any songs that you haven't played in a while that you're like, thank God we never have to play that one again?
Well, there's a song like Owls, for example, on In Mazes. That's really difficult to play. And we haven't played it that much. Maybe that's why.
Right.
um, like just lots of notes in the intro riff, and like in the chorus, the clean guitar fingering is just really difficult for me.
Nice.
So, but I love the song.
She is still dreaming.
But yeah, like I feel fortunate that like most of our material just is exciting to play every night. So it's very rare that I get tired of a track. Maybe I would if we played the same venue every day, but like the context, the way the context changes for the song makes it feel fresh night after night, I think.
That's interesting. So if you play the same song every night during a tour,
Yeah,
depending on what the crowd reaction is, the venue, the sound of the venue, the stage, how that feels, that just it gives it a different color every night.
yeah, definitely.
That's super cool. Yeah, I've never heard an artist say that. Like it's funny. I've interviewed lots of artists, and that's the first time I've ever heard that. Like, yeah, no, I could play this song 100 times in a row, and as long as it's in a different place, it adds a different flavor to it.
Yeah,
That's really cool. That's super cool.
it
And
means a
and
lot,
you
I think.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head. Vola's music is very exciting, and their live stuff, it's worth seeing them live. So definitely get out and see them live. Unless you have anything else to add about Witness or any of these other albums, I think we've covered it all, my friend.
I don't think I have anything more. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Asger. Thank you so much for your time, man. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. I know how busy you guys are. You're preparing for a tour coming up and an album release, and from me to you, man. Thank you so much for supporting my channel by me supporting your music. I think that's awesome, and I appreciate you, man. And I hope we can do this again in the future. Maybe when
Yeah,
you guys come to America.
Would be awesome. Thank you for taking the time, and thanks for the great questions.
No, it's my absolute pleasure, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yep.
Well, there it is. My VOLA 4. Friend of a Phantom, number 4. In Mazes, number 3. Applause of a Distant Crowd, number 2. Witness, number 1. Honorable mention live from the pool. Check it out for sure. And that's going to do it for this episode of Fandom Files. VOLA, what do you think? Leave it in the comment. Rank the albums for me. If you're a VOLA fan, I want to see your rankings. If you're not a VOLA fan and you go and check out VOLA as a result of this, come back and then tell me your rankings of the albums if you become a fan as a result of this video. I want to thank Asger Mygind one more time. I know it was months and months ago, but he was so gracious and so humble and just so wonderful to give me his time when I'm sure his time is at a premium. It will never be forgotten. He's a quality person. I met him in person. I met him over Zoom now. He's a great dude. They're a great band. He's a wonderful musician. So please, by all means, check out VOLA. And also, check out my social media places all over the screen. And then go check out my Patreon page for $3 a month, where you can get episodes of Old School, where I do more interviews like this, but from the past. They are old school. They're from my radio career, which spanned about 15 years. And I interviewed about 100 artists. And as of right now, there's one, maybe 2 episodes up there. So go check that out. There's also my listen throughs. There's probably 1 or 2 episodes up on that right now as well. And like I said, $3 a month. There you go. Boom. And you're in. You're in. I'm going to start doing live streams over there. So there's going to be all kinds of different things going on. But go check out my Patreon. Also, make sure you check out my interview with Asger Mygind right here on the channel. Go flip through. It's back in September. So good interview, good spot. We go into depth about the newest album, Friend of a Phantom. And of course, thank you so much for being here with me, as I so much enjoy being here with you. And until next time, we will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.